Hello folks, it's Marji Roy from 3dcuts.com, and today I'm going to be doing the tutorial of my latest shadow box, Moonrise Stroll. This is a shadow box in about 5 layers that uses cardstock. This is the second shadow box in the series of Moonrises where I use a purchased shadow box and cardstock to create this wall decor. Now, I have already cut all of my pieces. Before you cut yours, you should go to my website at 3dcuts.com at the address noted on the screen and get additional information. There, I talk about the exact papers that I used, but also the sizes of every piece. Not all cutting machines and cutting machine software import things at the same size. And you want to check these measurements before you cut your cardstock and find out they did not come in the correct size. The download does come with a JPEG that is an image of a sky designed for this shadow box that I made in Illustrator. I printed this on my inkjet printer on regular cardstock on best quality. And you can do the same, or you can create your own sky. It could be a photograph of a sky that you've taken someplace, or a watercolor. This is an area that you can do all kinds of creativity, but this sky is included. There is also a file for a moon included. You can just print this and cut it out by hand, or you can do it as a print and cut, depending on what your skill set is. I've done 2 in a couple of different colors to experiment with. And then there are the tiny pieces. Now, I have made a silhouette of my daughter and son-in-law strolling down the beach. When we were on vacation, I asked them to walk down the beach holding hands, and I took that photograph. It was a good silhouette. And in Illustrator, I separated it from the background and I made this little file. If you have access to any drawing programs, you can do the same. You can customize this by taking a picture of your husband and his walking the dog, your whole family, anyone that you would like, and you can create your own little silhouette. It does not have to be this one. I brought the photo into my software, I traced it and I changed it to black. I reduced it in size and I made it tiny to fit in here. I then took the same thing and did a reflection and I made the shadow out of that. I stretched it out a little bit to make it look like it's going along the sand. So if you want to customize the particular people that are here, certainly give it a try. That is some advanced photo skills, but if you've got them, sure, go ahead. If not, you can certainly use my couple. Now, to get started, the first thing you need to know before you cut also is the size of your shadow box. This is the shadow box that I purchased from Amazon. It sells as an 11 by 11 shadow box, but if I measure it, it is 12 by 12. You should get your shadow box before you cut the files because you never know exactly what the measurements are going to be. When I go inside, the inside of the box is about 11 1/4 by 11 and a little bit, but there's an inside collar, and that inside collar is 10 1/2 by 10 1/2. My very 2 front layers, the mat on the front, I cut at 11 by 11. All of the rest I cut at just under 10 1/2 by 10 1/2, so they would fit inside here. Be sure that you do those measurements before you cut your pieces. You can resize if necessary. I drew a green 9-inch rectangle. With everything in the same window, group all of the other pieces together and do a proportional resize to match the size of your frame. Once you've got it right, ungroup them and cut separately. Okay, all of my pieces are cut. I am going to start assembling each layer before I stack them up. So I'm going to put my small pieces to the side, and I am going to start with what is not the back layer. The back layer is the sky, and that would go on the back here. I don't need this piece. Like so. The next layer is the blue water. You will attach the blue water to one of the black frames. It will line up perfectly in the lower corners, and you will glue it onto the front here. I am going to turn this over. The glue that I use is art glitter glue. I have transferred it to this little container with the very tiny nozzle because I find it great for controlling the glue. There are links to all of these at my website so that you can get the same kinds of things. Art glitter glue does not have any glitter in it. Now I'm going to line this up perfectly with the bottom and the side edges, and I'm going to glue it into place, like so. The ripples go on the left side. Should have said that before we glued it. The next piece is going to be the lighter water, and the lighter water goes on front of this. Again, the bottom edges lining up like so. I can turn that over. Notice, thicker side is on the right, skinnier side is on the left. Don't reverse those. Some more glue. Okay, now we have the two pieces of land that get glued onto this. There is the fat one and the skinny one. The fat one goes on the left side, the skinny one goes on the right side. The edges align with the edge of the black frame. The one on the right side will get positioned there. The one on the left side I'm going to position first. I want it to be positioned so that when this edge is over here on the right side, it comes in above all of the ripples, and so that the blue is going right in at about that point. Too high, too low. Perfect. Now you'll notice I only want glue along these edges. There's nothing behind those. So I will put my glue here. Line that up with the edge above my ripples and glue in place. Oops, a little too much glue there. Now, I don't want this one to line directly up with it. I want it to be a little bit below, but I don't want any blue to show above that far mountain. So that one I'm going to take and apply the glue to the back side of it. On this paper, I used the AC cardstock, and I did the texture side toward the back on all the layers. Personal choice. Okay, this one, line it up with the edge. A little bit below that one, no water above that far mountain. Press in place. Now we're also going to need to put white on the back side of the ripples. You can just take a scrap piece of white paper. I have this one with all my pieces on it. Cut it. And glue it right there on the back. And that is to make the white ripples of the moon reflected on the water. Okay, I think I've got everything on that layer. We'll put that to the side, and we'll now move ahead to the beach layer. Again, the beach layer starts with one of the black frames, and onto it I will glue the big sand and then the little sand. This is the darker color, and it looks like the sand is wet. Again, the wider side goes to the right on both of these pieces. This one gets glued down first. Line up the bottom corners and the bottom edges. Press in place. And on top of that goes the light sand. Turn it over. This one can have glue put on all of its edges. And again, bottom corners line up. Press in place. Now the figures are going to be glued to this layer, but we're not going to put them on yet until we have the next layers also done. The next layer is the close sand layer, and in front of that go the fences. Now, the fence is going to be in front, and these will be glued back like this. We'll do that after it's in place. There are a couple of little grasses that we may choose to add at some point, but there are shadows as well. This shadow goes to this fence here on the left side. I have the shorter one on the left side. I need to align it. Oh, I didn't get all of this weeded. Let's get some of those out of there. This shadow is ripply because the sand is ripply. And this is going to be aligned right here, about like so. Now it does go behind this, but when it gets pulled out, you'll see down in there like that. So I'm going to move that over. Keeping it in place, I'm going to get some glue onto this side. There is really not an exact place that this has to be placed. You've got some freedom here. You want it attached to the fence, but placement is not super critical, just close. Okay, that's still wet, so I am going to take this and put it in front of it. Yep, that's good alignment. Now the other piece of fence shadow is this one. It'll go under this fence, skinny edge toward the distance, fat edge coming this way. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to place it underneath there to get my alignment perfect. And again, it's just approximate. But that's where I'd like it, right there. Hold it in place, flip that out of the way. Pick this up, get some glue under it. Glue that side down. Get some glue under this side. Glue that side down. Okay, let's put that in front. Let's get our beach and put that in front. And let's get our water and put that behind. We are layering these all up right now to determine where we want to put our people. I am going to have the people walking away like so. I don't want them in the center of the composition. I want them a little bit to the left of center so that they're walking into the frame. And the shadows will go this way. So placement up and down is important. I could put the shadow about there. I don't want it falling behind that hill. I could put them right about there, like so. That looks good. Now I'm going to take glue dots, and behind the body, upper, I'm going to put a glue dot, and then I'm going to glue their legs to the sand. That'll give them just a little bit of dimension. I'm going to leave those there to help me with line up. Ooh, I might just have to use a half of a glue dot. Cut them in half. And I'm going to put a glue dot behind the skirt of the female. And I'm going to put a glue dot behind the torso of the man, lower torso. I'll do this on the light so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see, right there. Okay. Now let's make sure I'm still lined up. I like that. Just a dot of glue on the legs here. And glue those in place. Paying attention to vertical. I don't want them leaning over. There we go. Now the shadow can be totally glued down to the sand. This is where you'll see it's important to have this tiny nozzle. Okay. Line up the feet. I had my fence on backwards. It should go this way. Okay, now additionally, you can take, I took a Sharpie gray marker here, and I made little footsteps in the sand, just going back. We also have some grass pieces, and you could choose to put them in front of the fence. I think I'm going to put one on this side here at the edge of the fence, like so. I could put it behind here. No, I like it here. I'm going to put that one there. I think I'll round the corners of it though. It's on the sandy side and right there. And on this side, I'm not sure that I want one yet. I'm going to wait till the frame is together. We have one more piece, and that is the double layer mat. The blue goes on the front, the vanilla goes behind. I will glue them together just with a little bit of glue to keep them in place while they're in the frame. There we go, glue all around it. Outside edges should match up and give us a nice even mat on the inside. Two-tone matte, navy and ivory. Okay, now it's time to start putting together the shadow box. Before you do that, you need to get 22 straws. I got these from Amazon. They are 0.28 of an inch thick in diameter. You can get paper straws if they are available. I've been having trouble getting them, but paper straws would be a good environmental choice. You are to take 1/8-inch score tape and run it down one side of the straw, cut it off, turn it over, and do exactly the same thing on the other side. Now you're going to need to do this for 22 straws. Before I started this video, I took all 22 and I taped them to my desk and I made them. It was much quicker with them all 22 taped to my desk, like so. So my straws are already done. You don't have to watch me do that. I think 22 is the right amount. Okay, now it's time to take your shadow box and disassemble it. Take out the inside frame. Make sure you wash your glass and dry it before you assemble it. And watch out for little pieces of stray paper. You don't want those in there. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is just place the mat dark side out. That's the biggest piece. Then the collar goes in behind that and holds that in place. You're now going to take one of the straws and peel off one of the backing tapes. And you're going to glue that against the side to the back side of the mat with another piece of the score tape facing up. Do that on all 4 edges of this layer. Like so. The next layer will go in on top of it. And what I want to decide is whether or not I want to put a grass right here. And I'm going to just temporarily tape one in there because I can't decide. And I could take it out later if I didn't like it. And I'm going to curl those back from the frame a little bit. Just ways, tricks for getting a little more definition or depth in your shadow box. Okay, now this one will go on here this way because from the front, I want the small fence on the left-hand side. So let's take this and peel these back. All 4 come off. Take your frame, line up the bottom corners. Don't press it down until you've got it in there and see that it is flat and not puckered. And then press in place all the way around. Now these fences are going to come back and attach to the sand piece. I'm going to, well, first I'm going to put my straws in. Repeat just like the first layer, you peel off one side, you put it right up against the side and press it down. Repeat this on all 4 edges. Now let's place this and understand that about a ½ inch of that black is going to come back and glue here. That was just a placement so I'd know where to put glue. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the last rails of the fence, but just on the bottom portion. Same on this side. Okay, now I can peel these quickly before my glue sets. I'm going to take this and lay in the bottom. Trying not to let the top touch. Press those down. Now I'm going to reach in and I'm going to pinch this against the sand surface, and the same on this side. Pinch this against the sand surface and hold for the count of 4 and then let go. And that should make the fence go from the front layer to the back layer. Yes, it did. And that finishes that layer. So now we can get another 4 straws, peel the score tape on one side of each of them, and place them into place. The sand layer is next. It will go in this way. We can peel all 4 of these straws. And we take this and position it. Bring it down, press. Repeat for the water layer. It will go in this way. But first, let's do the 4 sides. Okay, the sand layer is now in place. Before I put the water layer in, I am going to want the tips of these main sand areas to attach to the water. So it looks like the water is coming right up to the sand. So I am going to put a little bit of glue onto each of these tips. Then I will peel these and carefully put the water in, aligning bottom corners, going up. Press all four sides. Then I'm going to reach in and find those beach tips and pinch them to the water. It'll be easier to put it up, which won't be good video. Hold those. Let's see if I can turn this down so you can see. Hold those for the count of 4 so those tips will stay attached. This one over here didn't stay. There we go. Great. Okay, there's one more layer, and on this layer, I am going to put a cross straw about here to help keeping the layers apart. And now put the 4 ones on the side. Probably got a little close on that end, we'll see. Nope, still can squeeze it in. Good. Nope, don't need it at the bottom. Now this will go here. And I want to look and see how my placement is. Oh yeah, isn't that terrific? So I can now peel these. Whoops. I'm not going to put the moon on until, and this is probably tricky, but I'm going to wait until my sky is in place and then put the moon in. If I'd made multiples of these, it would be easier to attach the moon to the sky before I put this in. But I think placement's important, and so I'm going to try and do it afterwards. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, yes. Okay, now I'm going to take it out of the frame and remove the glass, leave that in the frame. And this is where I'm now going to place my moon. I want the moon to just be peeking. And I can't decide, let me get some tweezers here. I can't decide how much of the dark side of the moon to show. I'm going to look at this moon, which I've done that's a little bit orangier. Yeah, right about there. That's where I want it. Now I'm going to, again, use the glue dots on this because I want it floating in front of the sky. So I'm going to put, maybe 4 or 5 glue dots around the back of the moon. And then I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to bring my moon in right to the position I want it, centering it over the white here and putting it just above the horizon back there. There. Now let's take the shadow box. We'll put the entire frame in there. I'm going to peel this extra off just so it won't stick to the back. Now we can put the back on. And let's take a look. Isn't that breathtaking? Who will you make one for? Please share your finished project by sending it to me at marji@3dcuts.com or showing it on the various Facebook crafting groups. Be sure to check out both my files using this straw construction technique. There is Deer at Moonrise and Moonrise Stroll. Hopefully there will be more coming. Happy crafting and thanks for watching.